Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Overlap Podcast. And if you're new to the Overlap Podcast, we discuss and study the overlaps between work, fitness, family, faith, parenting, and leadership. Really, with the idea that becoming better in one aspect of your life helps you become better in all aspects of life. We simplify big business brilliance for small business leaders. We always want to start with the how, right?
Think about every business meeting we sit in. We go in and we say this.
Yeah.
How are we going to do this?
It's all tactical.
All tactical.
It's all tactics. It's blocking and tackling. It's this equals that, and then you do this, and then this thing is that thing, and this, and then there we go. Now we have pragmatically designed the path to get us where we're going.
We think. And we never ask ourselves, do we actually have the who's that can pull this off?
That's really the deal. And so
that's been my story this year.
Hey, it's really my story forever.
Right.
When I'm missing, lots of times it's just the wrong who's, or I haven't thought about who's enough. And before I was introduced to this book, I got to say that I had an inkling that this was the issue, but I couldn't quite formulate it as well as Dan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy were pulling it together. It really solidified my concept, because here was my thought all the time. I'm like, man, if I'm thinking about this person after hours in a good amount, they're taking a lot of my mental energy. I probably don't have enough trust in them. And then I started asking myself, why do I not have enough trust in them? They probably aren't the right person to execute the job that I'm trying to get them to do. And that is where I'm trying to get to. Them executing their job gets me to, and the company, to where we're trying to go for that quarter, that year, that whatever.
I could tell you a 20-year story of me trying to see potential in people that have none.
Oof, that's tough. Ouch.
In the thing I'm asking them to, not that they don't have potential for the world or contribute to the world, but a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we try to have optimism about our current team.
Yeah, I would say that's and not to cut you off, and keep rolling with that, but just so the audience hears, entrepreneurs are just inherently overly optimistic.
Right. And so I can tell you a 20-year story of being in business, of being overly optimistic that I have, and it's more of a pride thing for me, that I've put together the right team to do the new product or service that I'm providing.
Yeah.
And I get 6 months into it and think, what's the problem here? This product's a great product.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, and I was actually going to save this for the end, but this is probably the appropriate time to do it. So if you're listening, I'm asking Keith the same question, but I'm probably asking you this too, Brian Hodges. Are you overly optimistic about your personnel, your team, because you want them to do well and you see it in them? Or are you abdicating your responsibility of finding the right person for that, and you're just checking that box saying, yeah, that team member's there and they can do it, and then moving on to the next thing that you really like to do?
I got the answer for me.
Okay, what is it?
I just don't want to put in the work to find the who.
Man, I think it's me too. If I'm honest with you and I'm honest with the audience, I think a lot of times, and I would venture to say 80% of the time, I mask my abdication of responsibility of finding the right who with the overly personnel driven, we're a leadership organization and I'm trying to give them an opportunity to lead this project when I know that they can't actually do it. Not that I know, but I got a real strong feeling that they can't do it. So I don't backfill that with safeguards. I don't really vet it very well. I'm getting way better at this, but I'm just broad generalizations. I'm just thinking that most of the time, the who issues, I want it to be their fault, but it's really my fault.
Thanks, Sid and Keith, for allowing me this opportunity to explain why Pro 356 Consulting is back, again, sponsoring and supporting the Overlap podcast. Number one, I just have found that this is a great podcast, that I share your values of the overlap concept, and I have found just so many great nuggets from listening to you guys. Number two is, I remember when you approached me at Hatch about starting a podcast, and I said, hey, that's why we built that podcasting studio at Coastal, and you guys took it up, and here we are. You've done 100 broadcasts, and now you're on the way to 200. And lastly, I just want to say that I just appreciate the way you guys do business, and I want to associate with you. So Pro 356 is glad to be back as a promoter and sponsor of the Overlap podcast.
Hey guys, this is Keith. Let me break down a scenario for you. Are you a business owner that is overwhelmed by the options of investing, but you're being told you need to invest in retirement, you need to invest in mutual funds, you need to buy some single stocks? Well, I have your fix. C2 Wealth Strategies, ran by our friend Wes Cody. Their website is c2wealth.com. If you are looking at investing at all and are confused by it, give them a call today. They will be happy to handle whatever you need. He's brought up very specific things that I need to be working on as a business owner in my investing life. Let him do that same thing for you. c2wealth.com, or go to the overlaplife.com page and click on sponsors. And that is the ticket there. Or that is the quagmire. We, as leaders, business owners, team leaders, parents, spouses, it's really about, and this is where we go wrong when we're missing an opportunity on down the road to be helpful. We're worried about what it does to us.
Yeah.
And not about...
Or what it looks like to others.
And not about the person.
Yeah. If I'm really trying to be helpful to the person, to the spouse, to the child, to the team member, whatever, I want to just give them some guidance, give them some guardrails, and let them make their own choices and learn from those. I want them to be playing the long game and develop.
I really want to care about and learn, and I'm learning this. I'm not there yet. I really want to care about them.
Yeah.
And not worry so much, what's it going to look like on me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting better at that.
Yeah.
But still it creeps up sometimes where I'm saying, they're making me look bad.
Well, yeah, man. Either way, with my kids, I want to have a relationship where they come and ask me the tough questions. Hey, I'm having trouble with my wife. What do I do about that? Hey, I'm having trouble with my son. You got time to talk? Hell yes, I do. I've been waiting on this for years. I've got a job, and now I get to do this. This is fantastic. Thank you. That's what I want.
I really want to be the person that my son, who works for me, works with me, can come to and says, I really want to go do something else.
Yeah.
And me be okay with it.
I want the team member that's worked for me for 10 years that wants to go back to school to build a different career, says, hey, that's what I want to do. What do you think? I'll be like, awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
And I actually want to be able to give them good guidance without worrying about what it's going to do to me.
What we're saying is do what's right, even when it's going to be painful for you, even when it's difficult, because it'd be easier for me to yell at my kid and tell him not to do that. It'd be easier to just continue to argue with my spouse and try to win some just meaningless argument. But that's not really who I want to be. I want to be someone that builds relationships, that people trust, that people feel open and honest with, and I have an impact on people's lives. That's what I want. I don't get to do that when I'm ruining the opportunity to be helpful in the future.
Thanks a lot for bringing this topic up. And now I feel convicted.
Look, not all of you have to deal with workman's comp, but those of you that do know that it's time consuming and it's a headache. Insurance in general feels like something that happens to you rather than for you. But partnering with someone that really knows their stuff, like Chris May, with LTN Insurance, you've heard him before on the podcast, offers you the opportunity to regain control of your insurance. By collaborating with Chris, you have the chance to craft a personalized plan that ensures you receive optimal coverage at the best price. At LTN Insurance, their foremost core value is centered on education rather than sales. Their core value actually says, we don't sell, we educate, because they truly believe in empowering you, the customer, with the knowledge to make informed decisions about your insurance. That's whether you do business with them or not. They want you to be informed. So you can trust Chris and look him up, give him a call, or go to the website ltninsurance.com. Okay, guys, everyone knows if you're a business owner, a business leader, or you're just a person in the world needing help with accounting, you need a real partner. You need someone that's going to listen to you and not just plug numbers in to make their job easy to do your taxes. At least that's what I want. I've been through a lot of accountants in my life, and I have yet to find one even remotely as good as Johnny Baranco. He's the owner of Baranco and Associates, and he's the kind of guy that really doesn't manipulate your books to make his job easier. He really is trying to give you insights into your business or into your financial planning world. Whatever your goals are, he's there to help. And so I just encourage you to give him a call. Baranco and Associates, look him up online. It's barancoandassociates.com and just see if he can help you. He really is the accountant that I recommend to everyone, even before he was a sponsor of the podcast. So please, if you need an accountant, just do yourself a favor and give him a call.
If you've just worked on your systems and you think you got the systems right, but a lot of people will overlook the people and say, my systems is just broke.
Yeah.
And they may not be broke. It may be the people.
It may be the people. Yeah, that's a tough one. And I can't tell you when it's people and when it's systems.
And it may be you.
It's always you. It's always me. If I'm not the problem, then I don't have an answer, because I can't make Keith be anything other than what I can sort of influence him. But if Keith is the problem, then I don't have a solution for that, because Keith is Keith. And that sounds really metaphysical and philosophical. But if I'm the problem, where is my part in this? What can I do to make the change to give me the outcome, or give the company the outcome that we desire? Then I can start working on a solution. But if it's always Keith's fault, then I don't have a solution. I've got an excuse. I've got a whipping boy or something else. And that may make me feel better for a time, but it doesn't give me an outcome that I'm looking for. The obstacle is always the way. Rewards are the enemies of exploration. I love that. And then number 6, rewards undermine interest. That's interesting. If our goal is excellence, no artificial incentive can ever match the power of intrinsic motivation. People who do exceptional work may be glad to be paid, and even more glad to be well paid, but they do not do work to collect a paycheck. They work because they love what they do. There we go. That's nice to kind of end on that, right?
Yeah, I think that right there pretty much sums up, well, especially if you look at the culture now.
Yeah.
If you look at the latest generations, they're not motivated at all by pay.
Mm-hmm.
They're motivated. I mean, if you look at the data, Zers and millennials are totally motivated by what they're doing for the world.
Yeah.
What difference are they making? How do I make the biggest difference?
Yeah. And I think what this author is really saying is you're stifling all of that could be channeled towards something good, you know, and really because there's just tons of not well thought out or well thought through, and I'm throwing myself in that group, assumptions that incentive plans will just add to those qualities of the younger employment group and set them free to sort of give them direction. And it doesn't. It causes a myopic, unhappy, disinterested workforce.
Well, yeah, it stifles it. Well, that's because it stifles creativity in every way.
Yeah. And teamwork.
Right.
And everything else. So,
it makes you very one track focused.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the article. And I love that. And I'm just gonna say that one more time. That last quote there: if our goal is excellence, no artificial incentive can ever match the power of intrinsic motivation. People who do exceptional work may be glad to be paid and even more glad to be well paid, but they do not work to collect a paycheck. They work because they love what they do. You may be saying no one would ever love, entering data or being a bookkeeper. And I'm telling you, some people love that. Love it. I know a girl that sits in the dark and loves grinding on that stuff, just plugging in numbers, and she really gets a lot out of it. Sending out a report and knowing it's right, and meeting a timeline going, yep, I got it all cleaned up by the 10th and I've got it out. I'm going to go celebrate.
The author says this too. He says, other theorists favor a more simple explanation for the negative effect rewards have on intrinsic motivation. Anything presented as a prerequisite for something else, that is, as a means toward another end, comes to be seen as less desirable.
Yeah.
The recipient of the reward thinks if they have to bribe me to do it, it must be something I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought about rewards that way, but that is exactly true.
It is exactly true.
And so what we're asking you is to think, and what we're asking ourselves, because I just placed an incentive program in front of someone just
there we go.
Just this week. Should we rethink that process?
Yeah.
Should we rethink how we're motivating our team members to perform, and is it even necessary what we're offering?
I'll tell you, I have started to rethink everything. I'll give you some thoughts on that in just one sec. But here's one other quote that I had that we didn't really touch on. But managers who insist that the job won't get done right without rewards have failed to offer a convincing argument for behavioral manipulation. Promising a reward to someone who appears unmotivated is a bit like offering salt water to someone who is thirsty. Bribes in the workplace simply can't work. They're either the right fit or the wrong fit, is what I think he's saying there.
Right.
It's either the right fit or the wrong fit. So, here are my sort of just quick notes. And I'm a simple guy, so I try to take that stuff and think about it as simply as possible. Do incentive plans work? My answer to that is, for the most part, no. Some things, maybe. I like some commission for salespeople, but I like a decent salary for someone so they're not going to starve if they don't sell. My goal with the salesperson is to reward activity, get out there and go sell something. But I don't want you to depend entirely on it. I want you to make more the more you work and the more you bring in. But I want you to serve the customer first. Perfect. Let me tell you about one of our sponsors, Chris Drogmiller. He's with CMD Fencing. One, I really appreciate his support to the podcast. He listens to the podcast, but long before that, he has done several projects for me at my home, at our business, and the dude just does an awesome job. One of the things I really like about him is it's basically just him and someone that helps him. His attention to detail is phenomenal. The work is always high quality. If you've ever had a fence built, you know that the gate itself and how it opens and shuts is kind of the stamp of quality. It always works well. I've made him make some interesting kind of fencing where it's all horizontal. He had no problems with that, did a great job. And the guy is freaking awesome. He's easy to work with and he does a fantastic job. He's a firefighter. So, you know, he works 2 days on and 2 days off. So he comes in and knocks my project out on the days that he's off. And the dude's awesome. You can find him on our website, overlaplife.com. You can find him on Facebook, CMD Fencing. And let's see, his phone number is 901-484-5546. So if you need a fence, need some fence work, call Chris Drogmiller, CMD Fencing.
Sid and Keith, when I was on your podcast, I shared my story of how I was $250,000 in debt, and then how I turned my business around and grew it into a highly profitable, multi-million-dollar lawn and landscape business. I'm Steve Bousquet, and we've created a program consisting of courses and coaching that guide people through the process and tools I use to turn my business around and grow it into a highly profitable, multi-million-dollar lawn and landscape business. You can find out more how I did this by visiting greenprofitacademy.com or by going to Amazon and buying our book, Profit First for Lawn Care and Landscape Businesses, right on Amazon.